Pahlavi texts, translated by E.W. West, Part 3, Dinai Mainogi Khirad, Clarendon, Oxford University Press, Chapter 4. The sage asks the spirit of wisdom thus, which is a good work that is great and good? The spirit of wisdom answered thus, the greatest good work is liberality, and the second is truth, and next of kin marriage. The third is keeping the season festivals, and the fourth is celebrating all the religious rites. The fifth is the ceremonial of the sacred beings, and the providing of lodging for traders. The sixth is the wishing of happiness for everyone, and the seventh is a kind regard for the good. And in verse 8, a kind regard for the good, that is for the priests, or maybe just the people who know the religion and practice the rituals, but live the principles of the rituals. The Parsi Persian version divides these good works into 9 items by counting the next of kin marriage as the third and providing of lodging as the seventh. For a fuller detail of good works, see chapter 37. And it might have originally just been involving your family in the marriage process, as already indicated by that appendix in a previous book that I shared. In verse 6, lodging for traders, literally for the producers of business. In Saudi Arabia, they used to have a law, like this was back in the 70s, so I don't know if it's changed. I wasn't alive in the 70s, I've just read it, but they didn't mind whether you're a corporation or whatever. Everybody was responsible for their actions, and businesses were required to provide enough money or a living situation as part of the goods or whatever for a person to live with their family in the area that they worked, rather than, the next city over or whatever. I mean, how many companies provide that good of a package for their lowest employees? One person working full-time, and that's what they get. All the religious rites, the periodical ceremonies, which are obligatory for all Parsis, see Dinai 44, verse 2. And some of that would have changed per, area. In keeping the seasonal festivals, of which there are 6, each held for 5 days, these Gasanbars or Gahambars, and respectively on the 45th, 105th, 180th, 210th, 290th, and 365th days of the Parsi year, and when that year was fixed to begin at the vernal equinox, they celebrated the periods of mid-spring, mid-summer, the beginning of autumn, the beginning of winter, midwinter, and the beginning of spring. See Shalyast to Shalyast. Chapter 18, verse 3. In modern times, they have been supposed to commemorate the several creations of the sky, water, earth, vegetation, animals, and man, but this idea must have been borrowed from a foreign source. Well, every area kind of acknowledged its seasons and stuff, and some of that varied. And the different hemispheres, the different sides of the continent and stuff may have had that difference, so you don't really have international law in those terms, because, and you certainly don't adjust it to weird dates. And see, that's what it might have been originally. It might have been lined up straight up with the cross quarters and equinoxes and solstices and stuff exactly every single year. Its original form, who knows? The next of kin marriage, this was the meaning of the term kvetukdas when this work was written. When some centuries ago such marriages were discontinued, but the time was then that combined the marriages between first cousins, as at present. See the Sacred Books of the East, Volume 18, Appendix 3, which you will already have listed on my channel if you have not seen it. KHVETUKDAS. And you also might want to look at Chapter 4 of the Quran the listing of marriages that are not allowed, and some of these are by the circles of relation being too close, and others which are universally allowed in America you don't do, like, marrying people that your parents or your children were married to.